Good evening and a very warm welcome to the late night edition of Thai PBS English News Service. I'm Supachon Klinsawan. It's been 5 days since the southern bombings shook the entire country, and security officials have today arrested 3 men who they claim were behind the Saturday bombings in Hat Yai and Pattani. At least 20 people are expected to be involved in this latest round of insurgency. The 2 men seen in this picture are suspected to be behind the Lee Garden bombings. They are Abdul Ashi Hatama and Abdul Aseng Yamasaka. These 2 and another man were arrested at a house in Narathiwat's Resort district. The other man was suspected of being a bomber in Pattani last weekend. The 3 are directly linked to or are under arrest for at least 9 insurgency cases, which include drive-by shootings, bombings, and stealing cars to use as car bombs. Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra has now returned from the ASEAN summit in Cambodia. She says that her Malaysian counterpart agreed to assist Thailand in any way in an effort to help curb unrest in Thailand's troubled south. She is now considering the opposition's proposal for solving the southern mayhem, but says since this is a delicate issue, the government will need some time to consider its options. Meanwhile, Police General Piopan Damapong, the police commander, says crowded areas not only in the south will be under tight security from now until the Songkran festivities end mid-April. Meanwhile, Deputy Prime Minister Chalerm Yubamrung insists there is a need to curb car theft in the Deep South, as these stolen cars are used in car bombs. He insists that there has not yet been any report that Bangkok will fall victim of this latest round of attacks. Lieutenant General Udomchai Thamasarorat, Region 4 Army Commander, says that he will help assess the situation and submit a report to the OIC, or Organization of Islamic Countries, to help them understand the context of the unrest in Thailand. The commander underlines that this is not an international matter, though the BRN armed group is trying to make it one. Despite the recent bombings, Hat Yai municipality will continue to host the annual Songkran celebrations, but security will be very tight, and speculations are that the water festival might not be as lively as in the previous years. A few weeks ago, Chintana Sutni, a shop owner in Hat Yai, invested a massive sum of money to buy water cannons and Songkran water toys, speculating that she would make sizable profit at the water festival. Instead, she admits the bomb at Lee Gardens 5 days ago is now more likely to end up costing her an arm and a leg. However, many festival goers in the south, especially in Hat Yai, have decided to continue celebrating the water festival, but splashing water at home, not at public or crowded places. Every year, the Hat Yai municipality hosts a colorful Songkran, which sees many Malaysians cross the border to celebrate the Thai New Year, especially in front of the Lee Gardens Hotel, which holds a beauty pageant every year. Despite speculation that the number of visitors will be much lower than usual, the city insists the celebrations will go ahead, believing that canceling the festivities would harm the local economy even more. However, security will be extra tight. Despite criticism over the reconciliation plan over this evening, the House Committee on Reconciliation handed the research, which emphasizes that amnesty is the way to go, to Parliament to review. Meanwhile, the Multiple Colors Group protested against the reconciliation plan in front of Parliament House. Here's more from Kun Gankon Raktham.
Today, Samat Gaomichai, Deputy President of the House Committee on Reconciliation, asked politicians not to make any single issue in the plan a trigger for another conflict, as the reconciliation plan offers various alternatives for the country. He insists that today the committee just handed the reconciliation plan to Parliament for consideration and approval. Meanwhile, Natchapat Untrongchit, an academic from King Pacharipok Institute, says she does not agree that the Parliament should use the majority to push for amnesty. She insists that the ultimate aim of the reconciliation plan is to launch a public debate for all to participate. The King Pacharipok Institute was a key think tank helping the Reconciliation Commission to come up with a solution to the ongoing political instability. House Speaker Somsak Suranon revealed that if the majority of Parliament agrees with the reconciliation plan, it would be proposed to Cabinet for implementation. But if the plan is rejected, Parliament will extend the time frame to enable the House Reconciliation Committee to seek further solutions. Meanwhile, the multicolor group, or what Thais call กลุ่มเสื้อหลากสี led by Tun Sithisomwong, have protested against the reconciliation plan in front of Parliament. They claim that the red shade group violated the people's rights during the political unrest for the last 6 years, like blocking Rajaprasong and interrupting the ASEAN meeting. Tun also pointed that amnesty in this sense is forcing people to forgive the political conflicts of the past. He proposed an open letter to the Human Rights, Liberties and Consumer Protection Committee to consider this issue.
I agree with the proposal of King Prachatipok is still report that there should be a dialogue among people. Use the proposal or the summary. Do we apologize red shirt? Should we stop the case of Thaksin Shinawatra, the corruption case of Thaksin Shinawatra or not? And if most of the people, majority of people agree with that, okay, we follow that.
While the reconciliation plan is during the process in Parliament House, another conflict is now starting here. This recent situation might tell us that the remaining conflict would take more time to be solved, and the final solution still requires the opinion from all participants. This is Songkran In South, Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Kangklon. The Ministry of Industry is seeking approval for a 10 billion baht budget for flood prevention dikes around industrial estates, claiming that the construction will be completed within August. The 10 billion baht flood prevention dikes will be constructed in 2 phases. The first phase is worth 5 billion baht and will be allocated to 6 flood-affected industrial estates. The other 5 billion baht will be spent at another 6 industrial estates that are at risk. Mom Rajawong Pongsawatsawadiwat, Minister of Industry, indicated that the ministry will propose the 10 billion baht dike construction project to the National Water Resources and Flood Policy Committee. The construction of the dikes will commence in May and is projected to be completed within August, which is during the rainy season. The Minister of Industry indicated that foreign investors remain confident in Thailand following a 40% increase in land purchases over the span of 5 months from last October through this February. The Bureau of Health Promotion, public health researchers and local community leaders in the north have held a seminar on the haze and wildfire effects, aiming to ease the haze problems in the north, which is dramatically affecting people's health in the region. The level of dust particles smaller than 10 microns in Chiang Rai this year has reached about 480 microgram per cubic meter, which significantly exceeds the international standard level set at 120 microgram per cubic meter. So far, this is Thailand's highest and scariest figure. The Director General of the Bureau of Health Promotion says that this seminar is an effort to discuss with all related organizations, researchers, and government officers ways of solving the haze problem and creating a mutual understanding among the locals in a concerted effort to curb the problem in the future. Meanwhile, an academic from Chiang Mai University revealed that the relevant organizations have not yet studied the haze research conducted by academics. So from now on, the academics will educate the local communities about the haze problems as a long-term solution. This seminar has concluded that burning the stubble from the farms in Thailand and neighboring countries is the major cause of the haze, which always occur in the highlands of northern and northeastern Thailand. Some farmers have now signed contracts with private companies, meaning that they have to burn their farms 3 times per year as they have to increase their productivity. The Foundation for Consumers is suggesting that all public vans are forced to install GPS guidance systems rather than the current RFID system to make sure speed limit violators are caught and punished right away. Since April the 1st, all public vans in Thailand were required to install the RFID or radio frequency identification system in an effort to crack down on reckless and speeding van drivers. Today, the Foundation for Consumers said a global positioning system, or GPS, will likely be more efficient in tracking vans which exceed the speed limit, as the real-time monitoring process is more efficient. They say the radio frequency identification technology cannot assist police to catch and punish the drivers right away, as the RFID needs time to accumulate data and calculate the speeds traveled. The Foundation for Consumers is also asking the government to impose tight restrictions on public vans to reduce the chances of road accidents.
At present, Thailand relies heavily on Myanmar's natural gas to generate electricity. The gas imported into Thailand accounts for 25 to 30% of the country's daily natural gas demand. From April 8 through April 17th, Myanmar will close its gas pipelines for routine maintenance, which is a period of high energy consumption due to the Songkran break. The Electricity Generating Authority of Thailand is now preparing to temporarily replace natural gas with heavy fuel oil and diesel to generate electricity. Myanmar's gas pipeline maintenance will reduce Thailand's electricity generating capacity by roughly 5,600 megawatts per day. The Special Water Management Agency, which the Prime Minister presides over, is also doubling the release of water from Sirikit Dam from 16 million to 30 million cubic meters during the 10-day shutdown. Meanwhile, the Ministry of Energy is asking for greater energy conservation.
During this shutdown, I think we have to urge our citizens and industrial and service sector to conserve energy so that we will not use too much expensive fuel to replace the natural gas that we did not have during this period.
The threat of closure of the Strait of Hormuz is yet another challenge that Thailand has to prepare for. The unrest in the Middle East could further put an upward pressure on the world oil price. The Ministry of Energy is determined to establish an oil reserve fund, which will extend the capacity of reserved oil from a 60-day supply to 90 days. This is Bandit Gert Bandit reporting for Thai PBS.
And while all attention is on Myanmar's recently by-election, one very important factor that many seem to have overlooked is the new currency exchange rate for the yacht imposed this week, which experts suggest may have an impact not only on Myanmar, but also the entire region.
Myanmar's newly floated currency has people in business interested to see the effects of the change. Myanmar's central bank set a reference exchange rate of 818 kyat to $1 on Monday this week, the first business day under a managed floated currency regime. This is the most dramatic economic reform by the one-year-old civilian government to date. For 35 years, the kyat was pegged at 6.4 kyat per $1. But a parallel market has existed, with a recent rate in the range of 800 to 820 kyat per $1. This parallel rate has been used for most everyday transactions. American businessman Patrick Doig from Sacramento, California, said the new rate will open up many doors for the long isolated country.
It'll be interesting to see what happens over the next little while, because that will, I think, reflect what sort of confidence the international markets have in Myanmar, in the economy here. And I think it's going to be a very, very positive step for Myanmar. One of the first steps along the road to becoming a more open economy and reconnecting with the rest of the world. I think that's very exciting.
There are no international banks operational in the former Burma, although some, particularly Asian names, have representative offices in the country. Economic reforms and the expected easing of Western sanctions are expected to stimulate more international currency flows and encourage foreign banks to set up shop in the country. Much hangs on the West's response to the conduct of by-elections that were held last Sunday. Aung San Suu Kyi, who led the fight for democracy under the former military regime, and her National League for Democracy party appear to have won a landslide victory, and irregularities during the campaign and during actual voting were on the whole minor. If the European Union, the United States and other Western countries accept the elections were free and fair, they could start to ease sanctions soon on trade and investment. Hugh Adams for Thai PBS.
Thank you, Kun Hugh, and that's all we have for tonight's edition of Thai PBS English News Service. We'll see you again tomorrow, same time, which is 11:15 to 11:30, right here at Thai PBS. I'm Supachon Kuninsawan. สวัสดีครับ